they ask you as to what has been made lawful for them. Say, Allah Ta'ala is commanding Rasulullah, say, made lawful, أُحِلَّ لَكُمُ الطَّيِّبَاتِ, made lawful for you are good things. Made lawful for you are good things. The fifth ayat. The fifth ayat. الذين يتبعون الرسول النبي الأمي. Those who follow the unlettered prophet, the unlettered Rasul, the Ummi. يجدونه مكتوبا عندهم في التوراة والإنجيل. They find this unlettered Nabi, this unlettered Rasul written with them in their Torah and in their Injil. What else does he do? يأمرهم بالمعروف. He enjoins good. He commands them to do good. وينهاهم عن المنكر, and forbids them from doing evil. ويحل لهم الطيبات, and he makes good things, طيب things, halal things lawful for them. ويحرم عليهم الخبائث, and he makes unlawful for them impure things, haram things. The sixth ayat, حرمت عليكم. It was made haram for you. It was made unlawful for you. It is prohibited for you. Which things? Number one, al-mayta, carrion, something that died its own death. Wad-damu, the flesh, blood. Wad-damu, blood. Walahmul khinzir, the flesh of swine. Wama uhilla li ghayri Allahi bih, those animals which were not slaughtered on the name of Allah. Those animals which were not slaughtered on the name of Allah. Wal munkhaniqah, that which was strangled to death. Wal mawquda, that animal which was killed by a blow. Wal mutaraddiya, that which fell. Wal natiha, that which was gored, hit really hard, gored. وَمَا أَكَلَ السَّبْعُ إِلَّا مَا ذَكَّيْتُمْ, and that which a beast has eaten. That which a beast has eaten, إِلَّا مَا ذَكَّيْتُمْ, except that you have slaughtered it. That was the sixth ayat. The seventh ayat, إِنَّمَا حَرَّمَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةِ, he has only prohibited for you. Again, the same topic. Al-mayta, carrion, dead. Wad-dam, blood. Walahm al-khinzir, the flesh of swine is mentioned third here. Wama uhilla li ghayri Allahi bih, and that which was slaughtered on anything besides the name of Allah. The eighth ayat, a very crucial, important ayah. Wala ta'kulu, and do not eat. Mimma, from that, lam yudhkar ismullah alayh, on which Allah's name has not been pronounced. Do not eat from that which Allah's name has not been pronounced. وَإِنَّهُ لَفِسْقٌ, and surely it is a sin. It is a sin. Ayat number 9. وَأَنْعَامٌ حُرِّمَتْ ظُهُورُهَا, cattle whose backs were made prohibited. وَأَنْعَامٌ لَا يَذْكُرُونَ اسْمَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهَا افْتِرَاءً عَلَيْهِ, and those cattle, they have not pronounced the name of Allah, making fabrications against Him. And the last but not least, وَمَا لَكُمْ أَلَّا تَأْكُلُوا, and what should cause you to avoid eating of that from مِمَّا ذُكِرَ اسْمُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ, from that which Allah's name has been pronounced. What should cause you from staying away from those animals from which Allah's name has been pronounced? These are 10 ayats, very direct ayats, indicating eating those animals on which Allah's name has been pronounced and then slaughtered. The next topic, this was all from Quran. Now the second most important form of evidence in our Shariat is Sunnah of Rasulullah, and the benefits of halal and harms of haram that is derived from the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. عن أبي هريرة قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, on the authority of Abu Huraira radiallahu anh, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Inna Allah ta'ala tayyib. Allah, the Almighty, is tayyib, is pure. La yaqbalu illa tayyiba. And He accepts only that which is tayyib. He accepts only that which is pure. Sahih Muslim. This hadith is two parts. This is the first part. And this is the next part. Also from Sahih Muslim. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ أَمَرَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ بِمَا أَمَرَ بِهِ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. That Allah has commanded the faithful, the mu'mineen, to do that which He had commanded the messengers. فَقَالَ تَعَالَى. And the ayat, يَا أَيُّهَا الرُّسُلُ, O messengers, which was mentioned earlier, O messengers, كُلُوا مِنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ, eat from the good things, وَاعْمَلُوا صَالِحًا, and act righteously. وَاعْمَلُوا صَالِحًا إِنِّي بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. Indeed, O you who believe, indeed, I am aware of that which you do. إِنِّي بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ عَلِيمٌ. وَقَالَ تَعَالَى يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُلُوا مِن طَيِّبَاتِ مَا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ. O you who believe, eat that from which is pure. Become a mustajabu da'wah, he whose dua is accepted. Ya Sa'ad, atib mat'amak takun mustajab ad-da'wah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam advised Sa'ad radiallahu anhu, who was a ashara mubashara, the 10 sahabi who were guaranteed Jannah while being alive. What did he tell Sa'ad radiallahu anhu? That purify your food. O Sa'ad, purify your food. You will become one whose supplications, one whose dua is accepted. It comes in the narrations that people would flock to Sayyiduna Sa'ad radiallahu anhu to request for du'as, that if Sa'ad radiallahu anhu made dua for them, then it would be definitely accepted. Another hadith of Sahih Muslim, where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam gives an example, a parable of a person in a journey. A person in a journey, while we know that a person in a journey, a musafir, his dua is accepted. But what is this parable and what is this example Rasulullah is giving? ذَكَرَ الرَّجُلُ يُطِيلُ السَّفَرِ. The Messenger of Allah gave an example. He mentioned a man who he went for a long journey. He having journeyed, أَشْعَثَ أَغْبَرَ, he is disheveled, he is dusty, he is exhausted. يَمُدُّ يَدَيْهِ إِلَى السَّمَاءِ. He has his hands extended towards the skies, making dua. He's making dua, Ya Rab, Ya Rab. وَمَطْعَمُهُ حَرَامٌ. What he consumed is haram. وَمَشْرَبُهُ حَرَامٌ. What he drank is haram. وَمَلْبَسُهُ حَرَامٌ. What he is wearing is haram. وَغُذِيَ بِالْحَرَامِ. He is nutritioned by haram. Everything he eats, drinks and wears is haram. He is nutritioned by haram. فَأَنَّا يُسْتَجَابُ لَهُ. Then how can his dua be accepted? How can his dua be accepted? It's fine. The mic won't be able to sit there. The mic won't be able to be. The next slide. لا يدخل الجنة لا يدخل الجنة جسد غذي بالحرام. The body which has been nourished with haram will not enter Jannah. The body which has been nourished by haram will not enter Jannah. Bayhaqi. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, وَالَّذِي نَفْسُ مُحَمَّدٌ بِيَدِهِ. I swear by him in whose hands the soul of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam lies. He is taking an oath by Allah. إِنَّ الْعَبْدَ لَيَقْذِفُ اللُّقْمَةَ الْحَرَامَ فِي جَوْفِهِ. That verily a servant of Allah puts a haram food. Luqma actually means morsel, one bite. He puts a morsel of haram in his stomach. مَا يُتَقَبَّلُ مِنْهُ عَمَلَ 40 يَوْمًا. That no good deed is accepted from him for 40 days. No good deed is accepted from him for 40 days. Avoid the doubtful. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Inna al-halala bayin, wa inna al-harama bayin." Both halal and haram is clear, is clear. Wa baynahuma mushtabihat, and between those halal and haram are gray areas, are doubtful things. La ya'lamuhunna kathirun minan nas. Most people, the regular people, do not know the gray area, the gray things, the doubtful things. What is the verdict regarding those doubtful things? فَمَنِ اتَّقَى الشُّبُهَاتِ, the one who abstains from those doubtful things, the one who abstains from those doubtful things, from those mushabbahat, istabra لِدِينِهِ, he protects his deen, وَعِرْضِهِ, and his honor, وَمَنْ وَقَعَ فِي الشُّبُهَاتِ, and the one who indulges in doubtful affairs, in doubtful matters, وَقَعَ فِي الْحَرَامِ, he will indulge in haram. Are there dietary laws in Islam? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Man salla salatana," who he prays our salah, the one who prays our salah, "wastaqbala qiblatana," and who faces our qibla, wa akala dhabihatana, and who eats our dhabiha, فَذَلِكَ الْمُسْلِمِ, he is a Muslim, لَهُ ذِمَّةُ اللَّهِ وَذِمَّةُ رَسُولِهِ, he is in the protection of Allah and His Messenger. Bukhari. Akala dhabihatana is among the signs of Islam. Eating our dhabiha is a sign of Islam. A bite thrown up. Sayyiduna Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu once ate a bite of food in extreme hunger, which was doubtful. It wasn't haram, it was doubtful. When he found out it was doubtful, he forced himself to throw up. This was the practice and abstinence of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu regarding this issue. Allah Ta'ala give us all the tawfiq to make amal.
Some takeaways from all of that great information we've been presented. One very, very important statement is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, "La yadkhulul jannata jasadun ghudhiya bil haram." That body which has been nourished with haram will not enter Jannah. That body which has been nourished with haram will not enter Jannah. If we ask the Muslim that is furthest away from his deen, that is most disconnected from his deen, would you like to go to Jannah or would you like to go to Jahannam? No Muslim would say, it's okay, I'll go to Jahannam. And for a mere thing like a plate of food, like a plate of biryani, like a burger, like a chicken leg. And as the muhaddithun, they explain that la yadkhulul jannah, it means that he will not enter, meaning he will not never enter. That's not true. He will not enter, meaning he will not enter right away. His entry into Jannah will be delayed. His entry into Jannah will be delayed, meaning he'll be detained in Jahannam until that haram is burned out of his body. Is anyone here willing to risk even one day in Jahannam for a burger? For 1 day of Jahannam for a plate of biryani? This is what we have to bring ourselves to think about, and then think about those last few statements that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said and the Sahaba radiallahu anhum did. That what did he say? Man waqa'a fi shubuhat waqa'a fil haram. He who fell into anything doubtful, he will fall into haram. We're going to talk about that. And the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they had some very precise caution about halal and haram. In the Quran it's mentioned, يَسْأَلُونَكَ, they ask you. يَسْأَلُونَكَ مَاذَا أُحِلَّ لَهُم. They ask you what is halal for them. Meaning what? The Sahaba used to have this in their head. We can't eat everything. We have particular things we can eat. Otherwise, like you heard, 40 days of good deeds. 40 days of Fajr Salah. 40 days of coming to the masjid. 40 days, you don't even fast 40 days in Ramadan. It's not possible. You don't go to Hajj for 40 days. All of that amal, it goes down the drain because of one bite of haram. This is a caution the Sahaba had because they understood this. Now we've heard so much about benefits of halal and the harms of haram and the fact that Allah Ta'ala has ordered us in those ayat that we heard. Some people, they act like halal is some a peripheral issue, some marginal issue in our deen. Brothers, we presented, and sisters, we presented 10 ayat directly from the Quran and more than 10 ahadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about eating halal. And so much so that he calls it, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam calls it a sign of Islam, that a person eats halal. The next part, we're going to find out what is halal. What is halal? The principles of halal and haram by Mufti Faisal Abdul Wahab.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wahdah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya ba'dah. With regards to the ahkam, rules and laws pertaining to the dietary laws in our deen and Islam, there are two fundamental terms that we need to internalize and understand very well and clearly. And these two terms are halal and haram. Alhamdulillah, we are all aware of these two terms and what they mean. And this is because the life of a believer is based on these two things. Halal and haram is the essence and the crux of our deen. As a Muslim, as a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our only job and mission in life is to do those actions which are halal and to completely abstain and stay away from those things which are haram. And in that lies our salvation, in that lies our najat. With regards to our topic, how it's relevant to our topic, because whatever we consume and anything which will go into our mouth and into our stomach will either be halal or it will be haram. It will be one of the two. Either it will be halal or it will be haram. There's no such thing as this item here is 50% halal and it's 50% haram. No, it's either halal or it's haram. And we all know, and we understood from the ayat of the Quran and the ahadith, that it is fard and necessary and imperative that everything we consume is halal and tayyib. Kulu mimma fil ardi halalan tayyiba. That only eat and consume that which is halal, and everything which is khabith is haram. With regards to this, there is a asal, a principle, which we would like to discuss, and that is al-aslu fil ashyai al-ibaha wa fil luhumi al-hurma. And once we understand this principle, then things will make much more sense to us. What is this principle? It is telling us that by default, all things are permissible. By default, all things are mubah for us. It is allowed, unless it is proven otherwise. Unless there is a dalil, there is some external factor that is proving that that thing is haram. Until and unless that doesn't happen, generally all things are mubah. It is permissible and allowed for us to do or to consume. For example, if we wish to have an apple, all things are mubah then for us. It is allowed. Whether we unless choose a green apple or a red apple, unless there is a dalil, both are permissible. External both are mubah factor that is proving that whether we decide to wash it a couple of times, scrub it, rinse it, or not wash it at all, just bite into it. Both are permissible. Generally, both are allowed. Are mubah. It is permissible. Whether we want to slice them or cube them or however we want to consume, it is perfectly fine to have an apple, because the rule is by default all things are permissible unless proven otherwise. Yes, green apple or a red apple. We find out, for example, that this apple has been infused with something haram, maybe alcohol. Whether we decide this will become wash it a couple of times, until that is not done, or scrub it, rinse it, or not wash it at all, just bite into it. However, when it comes to meat, generally are allowed. The second part of this principle is whether we want when it comes to meat, then it is the complete opposite. however we want to consume. Now it's the complete opposite. It is. It means that by default, the original position of the meat is that it is impermissible. Yes, it is haram. We find out, for example, unless it has been made halal. It has to be made halal first, then it's going to become halal. Then now this will become halal. Until that doesn't happen, and until we don't have proof of that, we have to consider that and regard when it comes to meat. So what this means is, if there is a plate of chicken in front of us, or we're in the supermarket buying meat to take home to cook, or we're at a function at a restaurant we're about to order, until and unless it has not been proven to us, we haven't verified and confirmed that it is halal, for us we have to look at it, regard it, and consider it to be haram. This is what this means. Until that doesn't happen, and until we don't have proof of that, we have to consider that and regard when it comes to meat. Now the question is, how does it become halal? And this is very, very important. How does chicken become halal? How does meat become halal? So there are three conditions. Condition number one, at a restaurant, that the four main veins, until and unless it has in the throat of an animal, must be. We haven't verified and confirmed that four main veins in the throat of an animal must be guarded and considered. This is the best way. However, three is it's the minimum of three. If we're not able to get all four, then at least three. Now the question is, condition number one. Condition number two, tasmiyah. This is very, very important. Mentioning and taking the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the time of each slaughter. Three conditions. Condition verbally say and take the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the time of slaughter. And condition number three, the butcher, the dhabih, the person who is slaughtering must be either a Muslim or Ahlul Kitab. Or believing Ahlul Kitab, it's the minimum of three. Nasara, get all four, Yahudi, Christian, or condition number. We'll get into condition number two. So these are the three conditions mentioning to make an animal halal. And these are such conditions that there is ijma on this. There is a consensus of all the ulama in all four madhahib. There's no difference of opinion about this. And condition number three, the butcher. Now going into further details about the conditions. We said the first condition was to cut the veins of the animal in the throat. Yahudi, Christian, or so. We'll get into condition number two. So these are the three conditions mentioning to make these veins halal. The trachea, esophagus, jugular vein number one and jugular vein number two. These are the four veins that we have to ensure is cut at the time of slaughter. And if now we don't manage four, then at least three, a minimum of three. And then in the next slide, you can see that there's an image shows us exactly where the veins are located and what it is, how it's supposed to be slaughtered in that area. So these are the three conditions. So that is the first condition. These veins. The second condition was that the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala jugular vein number one and jugular vein number two. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا مِمَّا لَمْ يُذْكَرِ اسْمُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ وَإِنَّهُ لَفِسْقٌ. There's absolutely no way to dispute or manage it. It is very clearly mentioned in the Quran al-Kareem. And then the next do not eat. You can see that on that of that animal upon whom Allah's name has not been taken or pronounced. Surely it is a sin and this fisk, it is a sin. It has to be done. Supposed to be slaughtered in that area. Now, when it comes to this part, so that is the first condition. We have to keep in mind that this condition requires number one, verbally. It has to be done by the mouth. So it cannot be in our heart or in our mind. We have to move our lips, our tongue. It has to be done verbally. It is very clearly mentioned in the Quran. It cannot be played from a cassette or some type of sound system. And number two, it should be done for each animal. So if we are taking 10 chickens home today from the live poultry, we have to say Bismillah for each of the 10. Not just the first one, or just one in the middle, any random one, but each and every single one of them. If the butcher intentionally leaves out Bismillah, the meat will become haram. So purposely, intentionally, he left it out. He did not say Bismillah. It will render the meat as maita. Now, so at the time of each slaughter, we have to take the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if a person, he intentionally, purposely does not take the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now that is no longer halal, it becomes maita. And this is a term that we heard in the beginning as well. Maita, any one of these three conditions, when it is missing, it becomes maita. It is regarded to be maita. So, for example, the first condition was met, the second condition was met, but the third condition was not met, or just one condition was met. In all cases, it's going to become maita. All three conditions must be met at the same time. It has to be found together. If not, it will become maita. What is maita? حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَ. We heard that in that ayat as well. Here's the definition. أَمَّا الْمَيْتَ فَهِيَ مَقْتُولًا بِغَيْرِ ذَكَاةٍ شَرْعِيَّةٍ أَوْ مَا مَاتَ مِنَ الْحَيْوَانِ حَتْفَ أَنْفِهِ مِنْ غَيْرِ قَتْلٍ. That maita refers to any animal which has not been slaughtered according to the Sharia. So any animal which has not been slaughtered according to the Sharia, this will fall under maita. Okay. So, and what are the rules according to Sharia? Those three conditions. Those three conditions. Also, animals which have died in a natural way, they haven't been slaughtered or something, that also is considered to be maita. And now, lastly, we need to understand that how serious is this issue of maita. Someone might say, what's the big deal if one of the three conditions were missing? Oh, at least I said Bismillah. Or, maybe it wasn't slaughtered by hand, it was slaughtered in some other way, maybe through mechanically or by machine. There's a big problem with that, because then that animal falls under maita. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly says, حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَ. It has been haram, it has been made haram upon you. And in that ayat we noticed there was a long list of all those things which are haram. Right? Alaykum al-mayta wad-dam wa lahmul khinzir. Mayta, blood and swine. The first three of the list. But from amongst the three, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prioritizes and mentions mayta first. And many a times we feel that as long as it's a chicken, it's fine, even though the slaughter has not been done in the correct manner. But here, my respected brothers and elders, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning swine further down in the list, number 3, which means that maita is just as serious and as dangerous as swine, if not worse. That is why it has been mentioned first. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the tawfiq to make amal on this properly.
To expound a little bit, this ayat has been mentioned that Mufti Sahib was telling us about in 4 places of the Quran. Surah Baqarah, Surah Al-Ma'idah, Surah Nahl, Surah An'am. In all 4 places, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He chose to say Mayta, Dam, then Lahmul Khinzir. It's a principle of tafsir, Al-Aham fal-Aham. First, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the most important, then He mentions the less important, then the less important. Example, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, Ala unabbi'ukum bi akbaril kaba'ir. Shall I not inform you of the biggest of sins? And then He says, Al-ishraku billah. Number 1, shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 2, uququl walidain, disobedience of the parents. Similarly here, Allah ta'ala goes in order of importance. The most important haram upon us is maita, then dam, then swine. The deception we've befallen, we say any Muslim out there, every Muslim out there, even our small children, they understand, but pork is haram, pork is haram, most definitely pork is haram. My dear brothers and sisters, chicken and goat and beef is just as haram, if not worse, if it's not slaughtered properly. Allah Ta'ala mentioned there are 4 places in the Quran, the same order. There's some hikmah behind it. Allah Ta'ala doesn't do anything without hikmah. 4 places in the Quran. Al-Baqarah, Al-Ma'idah, Nahl, An'am. All 4 places in the same order. We have some contemporary issues now to discuss, and this is going to start with the 3rd condition about the butcher being a Muslim or believing Ahlul Kitab. This is these are contemporary issues that we're going to be, okay, before I even do that, I'm just going to finish off on this. just a part that was left over here, that does dhabiha mean the same thing as halal? Is there a difference between them? Not too long ago, since I did it myself, I'll tell you my own experience. I called up a company that has a certificate for halal. I asked them, brother, you have halal? He says, oh, yes, brother, I have halal. So what kind of halal? He said, brother, I have some of our own hand slaughtered product and I have this other machine slaughtered product too. So I asked him, you have both? He said, yeah, I have both. I have dhabiha halal for the one who want that, and I have regular halal for the ones who want that. Like it's a different flavor or something. You want vanilla? I have vanilla for you, brother. You want strawberry? I have strawberry too. You want toppings? I have that too, brother. No problem. It's like a different flavor or something. Brother, in the books of fiqh, in the books of hadith, and the extensive tafsir of the Quran, you will not find a single place where any scholar of our past or present time says dhabiha halal. Everyone says halal, halal, halal. Anywhere in the world you go, you will not find any sign that says dhabiha halal. Here we have halal food carts that say 100% dhabiha halal on it. We all see this. Is there some difference? We understand that there is no difference between dhabiha halal and halal. Dhabiha is that process that Allah Ta'ala told us, illa ma dhakkaytum, except that which you do the dhabiha properly. Dhaka is the word used in the Quran. Dhibh is a word used in the Quran. وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ. Allah Ta'ala uses nahar, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. These are all words used for slaughter. Dhabiha are the set of rules that make an animal halal. The example, brothers, in Surah Ma'idah, in Surah Nisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives a whole list of women that are haram for us. حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمْ أُمَّهَاتُكُمْ وَبَنَاتُكُمْ وَخَوَاتُكُمْ, to the end of the ayah. He says your mothers are haram for you, your sisters are haram for you, your daughters are haram for you. And then He gives a list of 9 categories of women. Then He says, وَالْمُحْصَنَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ, and the married women. And then He says after that, وَأُحِلَّ لَكُمْ مَا وَرَاءَ ذَلِكُمْ. Everything besides that, every other woman besides these particular types of women are all halal for you. So I went outside and I found a nice beautiful sister out there, grab her hand and say, that's it, you're halal for me. What do you think, brother? She's halal for me? She's not halal without the process of nikah. That process which makes her halal. Although she is able to be halal for me. She has a salahiyya, as we call in Arabic. She is able to be halal for me. She is not halal until I go through the process of nikah. Similarly, that chicken, if I just grab it by the leg and say, that's it, you're my dinner, and bite straight into it, is it halal for me? Until dhabiha is done. Is not halal until dhabiha. Dhabiha is the process to make it halal. Like nikah is the process for that relationship to be halal. This is important for us to understand. There's no difference between dhabiha halal and halal. In order for it to be halal, you have to have dhabiha. It's like saying I have tahara but I didn't do wudu. I have tahara but I didn't do wudu or ghusl or tayammum. How, brother? Similarly, we cannot have halal without dhabiha. Now, contemporary issues. This will start with the third condition Mufti Sahib was talking about the belief who is eligible to slaughter. It's the rules are very clear, brothers and sisters, that the person eligible to slaughter an animal in Islam is a Muslim or believing Ahlul Kitab. This Muslim or believing Ahlul Kitab, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says of them, the first topic, and we just named it, does kosher mean halal? We're going to talk about our Christian brethren too, so we won't leave anyone out, inshallah ta'ala. We'll discuss the entire topic. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us in Surah Ma'idah, that وَطَعَامُ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابِ حِلٌّ لَكُمْ وَطَعَامُكُمْ حِلٌّ لَهُمْ. The food of the Ahlul Kitab is halal for you, and your food is halal for them. This is mentioned in the Quran, Surah Ma'idah, ayat number 5. Then we have to understand, are there any conditions for this? Are there any conditions for this to be halal, or is it just because it's their food? So for example, our Christian brethren, they eat pork now. Is that pork going to be halal because it's their food? our Jewish brethren have kosher wine. Is that wine halal for us is because they're food? No. Sayyidina Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, he explains to us what are the conditions on this. The conditions on this do not differ from what are the conditions of a Muslim making it halal. As Allah Ta'ala, He says, وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا مِمَّا لَمْ يُذْكَرِ اسْمُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ. Do not eat not of meats upon which Allah's name has not been mentioned. The same condition applies to the Ahlul Kitab. They also have to mention the name of Allah to make it halal. They also have to have a horizontal cut across the throat here to sever at least 3 of the 4 main passageways of the throat. That's the technical definition I just said. That condition is also on them as well. What tells us that? Sayyidina Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, he mentions, طعام الذين أوتوا الكتاب يعني ذبائحهم. Their ذبيحة is halal for us. وهذا أمر مجمع عليه بين العلماء أن ذبائحهم حلال للمسلمين لأنهم يعتقدون تحريم الذبح لغير الله ولا يذكرون على ذبائحهم إلا اسم الله وإن اعتقدوا فيه تعالى ما هو منزه عنه تعالى وتقدس. Ibn Kathir, Tafsir Ibn Kathir, volume 3, page number 19. He says that Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma explained to us that the dhabiha of the Ahlul Kitab is halal for us. Number one, it's not just any food. They eat pork, it doesn't become halal for us. They drink wine, it doesn't become halal for us. Then he says this is a matter that is mujma' alay, that is a consensus. It is a consensus amongst the ulama that only that which they slaughtered properly is halal for us. And then he says, why? Because they at least used to. I'm going to say used to for a reason, I'll tell you why. But they used to believe that slaughtering in the name of someone besides Allah is not halal. That you have to mention the name of Allah when slaughtering. They used to believe in this. Even though in the time of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, some brothers, they bring this objection out. How do you call them Ahlul Kitab if they believe in the Trinity? Allah Ta'ala called them Ahlul Kitab in the Quran. Yet He says, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ ثَالِثُ ثَلَاثَةٍ. Those people have disbelieved who have said Allah is one of 3. They're still Ahlul Kitab. That doesn't stop them from becoming Ahlul Kitab. As Ibn Kathir rahimahullah says, even if they have beliefs from which Allah is exalted high above, He cannot have a son, He does not beget, nor was He begotten. Even though they don't believe in that, they go against that, they're still Ahlul Kitab. But when they do the dhabiha, they used to do it properly. We have to understand, in the Medinan society, there were 3 groups of people. One group was the Muslimin. 2, the Ahlul Kitab. And 3, the rest of the people. Mushrikeen, mainly mushrik. Those Ahlul Kitab and the Muslims, they had something in common when they slaughtered their animals. They used to slaughter properly with the name of Allah, Bismillah, and drain the blood out. Flow the blood out. That's why they were they were included in this ruling, that you are allowed to eat what they slaughter because they slaughter the same exact way as you do. Now, and there's lots of proof for that as well. روي عن عبيدة رحمه الله عن علي رضي الله تعالى عنه أنه سأله عن ذبائح نصارى العرب فقال لا تأكل ذبائحهم فإنهم لم يتمسكوا من دينهم إلا بشرب الخمر. Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, this is mentioned by Ibn Battal rahimahullah in the Sharh of Sahih al-Bukhari. He says that Ali radiallahu anhu was asked, are we allowed to eat the slaughter of the Christian Arabs? He said, no, do not eat their slaughter. Do not eat what they slaughter. Why? Because they have nothing left of their religion but drinking wine. They have nothing left of their religion but drinking wine. And further research was done on this. A great scholar of Pakistan in the last generation, many of you may know him by name, Mufti Rashid Ahmad Ludhianawi, rahimahullah ta'ala, a great muhaqqiq of his time. He wrote to the great seminaries, the Christian seminaries throughout the world, including, he even wrote to the Vatican Authority. And he asked them, in writing, do you have any dietary laws? Do you have any rules of slaughtering? They all answered, including the Vatican, they all answered in the negative. They said, we don't have any rules of halal haram anymore, any dietary laws. And brothers, we don't have to go that far out. We can ask our neighbors around us, our colleagues, our classmates who are Christian, do you have any dietary laws? We ask, brother. We ask because we do this work. We ask wherever we go. We go to slaughterhouses. We find out. We find a Christian brethren working there. We ask, do you have any laws about halal, about what's permissible? He says, no, no. Some told us that on Ash Wednesday they don't eat meat. That's one thing they said. Besides that, we don't have such rules in our religion. Thus, the Christians do not have any rules left in their religion. Their slaughter, they don't slaughter anymore. We'll show you what they do, but it's not halal for us. That answers, is McDonald's okay because it's Ahlul Kitab? That answers the question. Is Burger King okay because they're Ahlul Kitab? This is the answer to that question. Next, we look at the kosher slaughter. The kosher slaughter, and like I said, we have to condense this. I have lots of notes that I'm skipping because, just no time right now. You have to show your ID, be under 25 to get pizza, okay? All right. Now, the kosher slaughter. The kosher slaughter, we have to understand, the Jews still have dietary laws. They call them kosher. It's one thing, very simple. Second, they still have particular rituals about how they slaughter. But third, from what we found from our research, you can find every color of the rainbow out there in the Jewish community regarding kosher. And they have different definitions of what they call kosher. One, I'll give you a citation from one of their books, that before performing the ritual slaughter, it is necessary to recite the blessing. Blessed you are, O Lord, our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and has commanded us concerning ritual slaughter. This is a dua that they read, you can say. However, this can be in any language. If they said this, it would be fine. However, it says in there, if the blessing is not recited, it is still permitted to eat this meat. It is still permitted to be called kosher if this blessing is not mentioned. It's like what we call mustahab. It's okay if you do it, lots of points if you do it. If you don't do it, it's still okay. This blessing covers all the animals slaughtered in that period. What we found out from our research, from meeting rabbis ourselves, that one of their definitions of kosher is that if a rabbi comes in the morning, comes with a very sharp knife, a special knife with a blessing on it, and he very thoroughly severs those passageways all the way down to what we call the qafa in the back here, the spinal cord in the back, until he hits that part. And he cuts very well and lets the blood drain out. That first animal, since he's a believing Ahlul Kitab, and since as well, I'm on the wrong page, and since as well he slaughtered it properly with the name of God, with the name of Allah, is halal. But that blessing in kosher in their system covers all of the animals until the sunset, regardless of who slaughters it. This is a very important thing. I found, besides this definition of kosher slaughter, in my own research I found that throughout all the different definitions of kosher, you will find there is almost nothing to speak about who should slaughter and what they should do when they slaughter. It all talks about the rituals before and after the slaughter itself. So for example, the knife has to be special. For example, the room has to be blessed by the special rabbi. For example, afterwards, you cannot defeather the animal until this particular amount of time has passed. But I'm looking, but we cannot find any explicit laws in kosher about what their slaughter has to be like. Thus, that first animal, if the rabbi slaughtered it, it would have been halal for us. And he said the name of Allah. The rest of the animals are not halal. Thus, kosher does not mean halal. The requirements of kosher are different. There's something called kosher wine, kosher businesses. That doesn't mean halal. Back to we said believing Ahlul Kitab. Believing Ahlul Kitab. We said believing there because in the modern day time where we live, we find, unfortunately, an increasing number of our Christian and Jewish brethren who say they don't believe in anything. I'm Christian because my dad was Christian. I'm Pentecostal because my mom was Pentecostal. That's what they say. And you ask them, what do you believe? There's an increasing number of them who do not believe, who are, in simple words, atheists. But they call themselves, because of demographics, they call yes Christian or yes Jew. This is a fact that we have to face, since we're going to talk about the Ahlul Kitab, this is that answer to that. Brothers, we have important topic in front of us, so I'm just going to go through the next one very quickly, and go to our main concluding portion of the program. The second contemporary issue, we have brothers of the community, brothers, and I'm sure sisters say it too, so nothing against the brothers themselves. Say Bismillah and eat it. Say Bismillah and just eat it. Brother, say Bismillah and don't make it so difficult. Say Bismillah and eat it. You have to understand, in our deen we have two kinds. In our Sharia we have two types of issues. One is called those issues that are related to our ibadah, those that have ritualistic aspect to them, those that we've been given particular directions about are called umur ta'abbudiyya. And those issues that we do not have particular directions about are called umur adiyya. Example of ta'abbudiyya, the Jum'ah Salah is 2 rak'ah, must be prayed on Friday in this particular time. If we all get together and we say that, listen, we're all busy on Friday, we're at work, let's just pray on Sunday. We'll pray 20 rakat. Why are we laughing at this, brother? Because we're not allowed to change that. We've been given specific directives about this. We have to pray as many rakat as Allah said. No, forget 22, we'll pray 20 rakat. That doesn't help. Allah said you have to pray that, you have to pray that. The number of rak'at, the time of salah, the amount of zakah, the way hajj is done, all of these are umur ta'abbudiyya. How our dhabiha is done is umur ta'abbudiyya. Is umur ta'abbudiyya. We've been given specific directives how to do it. And I'm cutting short much of the dalail behind it. We don't have the time for that right now. Adiyya example, like what Mufti Sahib said, an apple. We cut it, slice it, dice it, do what you want. It's adiyya. How you eat the apple is your choice. You bite into it, you cut it, no problem. It's your choice, adiyya. The rules of dhabiha are ta'abbudi. And there's a famous hadith that's quoted that I just want to touch upon just lightly. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala, and this hadith is mentioned in Sahih Bukhari 3 times. The chapter that we're mentioning here is Bab Dhabihatul A'rab wa Nahwihim, the slaughter of the Bedouin Arabs. عن عائشة رضي الله عنها أن قوما قالوا للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن قوما يأتون باللحم لا ندري أذكر اسم الله عليه أم لا فقال سموا عليه أنتم وكلوه قالت وكانوا حديثي عهد بالكفر. Aisha radiallahu anha says a group of people came to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they said that, listen, some people, they bring us meat to the Medina market. They bring us meat to the Medina market and they sell it to us. Are we supposed to? We don't know if they said Bismillah on it or not. What does that tell you, brothers? That the Sahaba radiallahu anhum used to be concerned about the meat in the market as well. They used to go to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and ask him. It's mentioned 3 places in Bukhari, not to mention the countless places in other books of hadith. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to be asked about this. We don't know if they said Bismillah, we don't know if they did the dhabiha properly or not. The Sahaba used to do this, my dear brothers and elders. And who brought this meat in? Aisha radiallahu anha, she says, the people who used to bring this meat to the market and sell it, they were new Muslims. So the older Muslims, those that knew the deen properly and they were serious about it and they understood the Sharia, they said, we're not sure if they did the dhabiha properly. We're not sure if they mentioned the name of Allah properly. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, these are your Muslim brothers. Sammu alayhi antum wa kulu. Say Bismillah and eat it. Why? Your Muslim brother said he slaughtered it himself and he brought it to you. Your Muslim brother slaughtered it himself and he said he slaughtered it himself and he brought it to you. Say Bismillah and eat it. You don't have room for doubt in that. This answers the question of many people who, when we talk about this topic, they say, brother, we came from this country or that country. You think it's all halal there? Brother, it's 99% Muslim there. It's 95% Muslim there. When a Muslim says he slaughtered it, we don't have room for doubt. When a Muslim said, I saw the slaughter in front of me, we don't have room for doubt. We're going to talk about what's in our market now. In our market now, where are we? In our market now, this is what it looks like. How can I play this? Well, someone has to play that from the computer. I have to press play button there. This is what we are eating in the market. This is what we call halal in the market. You have to go back, press play. It's a play thing here at the bottom, you'll see. There you go. This is what your meat is slaughtered like. These are chicken. I think to pause it and turn the light off. Brothers can't see here, I think. Huh? These are the chicken. It's behind me. Okay, there you go. That's it. There you go. Okay, these are the chicken that are suspended upside down on a conveyor belt, going by a blade, a rotating blade that is supposed to cut their neck. What is it cutting? Their stomach. Some of them, their stomach. Some of them, they're missing the blade altogether and going into the hot water to die from the hot water completely alive. One more time. Play it one more time with us. This is how our meat is slaughtered in the market. It comes upside down on a conveyor belt with a rotating blade that's supposed to cut its neck. If it misses the water bath or it moves a little bit, it cuts its stomach. What's the condition of halal? It must cut the throat. Number two, some others, they don't even cut at all. They go right into the hot water and they die alive. My dear brothers and elders, this is what's in our market. In our market, we're not looking at Muslims of Medina bringing us meat from the village and selling it in the city. We're looking at a bigger problem. We're looking at a bigger problem. This problem that's in front of us in the market, we like to not just mention all problems to you, we like to give you a solution to the problem. And the problem, I'll tell you, this that you saw covers 99% of the meat right now in the market that we find in our stores and our restaurants, in the packages and in the halal carts. This is what we're talking about. A solution to this, our asatidah, our teachers have taught us that whenever you present the problem to the community, give them a solution too. You're saying it's haram, 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 then what are they going to eat? A solution to this is what you see in front of you, a service that we provide from Sharia Board, and besides that, this kind of organization exists in America besides us as well. But nonetheless, this is a monitoring organization called HMS, Halal Monitoring Services. Right now in the market, we have to understand, whatever we eat halal is based completely off of trust. Because I trust a person, because he looks like he's a good Muslim. We have to understand that our forefathers, wherever they may have come from, Muslim countries, we have to understand it is all by HMS, and I'm going to talk about it later because I want to show you what's going on in the market first. Where most Muslims in the world live, they live in Muslim majority countries. 90%, 95%, almost 100% Muslim. Or even if it's not 100% Muslim or 90% Muslim, the areas where they live, the halal issue is completely controlled by the Muslims. Where we are, it's not like that. We are a small percentage of the population. Some say 3, some say 5, some say 7. Conservative number, 5 I'll say in between. Not conservative, safe number in between, 5% Muslim. That means 95% of the meat that's produced in the market is produced for non-Muslims. But we're not saying anything bad about them. We're just saying that 95% of the meat in the market is catered to 95% of the population. And if something is very high in supply, then the price is going to be low. And Muslims are 5%. That meat in the market that's halal or labeled even halal is only caters to 5% of the population. Thus the price of that is going to be high. And that means a savvy businessman, any savvy businessman has a big incentive to capitalize on this. He can buy meat that's non-halal for much cheaper and sell it for 2 times, 3 times more and make a huge profit off of it. Whereas if he bought the halal, it would make a very small margin off of it, comparatively. We say in America, does this happen? Aren't there laws in America, regulations in America about this? There are, brothers. There are. Our legislators, our countrymen, they're very, very kind to us, very, very inclusive, alhamdulillah. And they give this beautiful country we live in, that myself and many of us here were born here, and this is what we call home, brothers. This is our home. You say, go, and someone derogatory statement says, go back home. Where's home? I was born in Manhattan. He was born in Manhattan too. He was born in Queens. Yes, brother, where's our home? Brothers, what we like to say is that here, where we are, the situation is that there are religious freedom, there's complete religious freedom here. That means the government does not meddle in our religious affairs. They've made laws in, I believe, 7 states for about halal. New York State included, New Jersey, Illinois, Michigan, all of these states have halal laws. And I've read through those laws, and much of it. And I've seen they simply talk about you cannot sell non-halal and call it halal. Very simple. They do not define halal to you. Whatever you Muslims define as halal is halal. It's our job to do that. Now, if we Muslims are cheating ourselves, they don't step in until someone reports it. It says, look, he's selling non-halal. We'll show you what's going on in the market. Can we just put anything, a label of halal on anything we want? Look at this, brothers. This is a picture we took ourselves, our team took from Jetro. Jetro, a flyer that is selling halal pork baby back ribs for $2.89 a pound. It's a picture I took on my own phone, brother. My friend's phone, I believe. Halal pork baby back ribs. Brother, we're laughing. Some of us are laughing. Some of us are crying. Because this is our halal they're meddling with. This is our halal they're toying with. If anyone did that with kosher, see what would happen. Anyone did that with organic, see what would happen. Anyone did that with vegan, see what would happen. But halal, you can put your label on whatever you want. Whatever amount it costs to print it, that's it. That's the cost you need. Look at this. There's a package that has 2 pictures, 2 labels on it. And mind you, these are the same labels you buy in Staples. Look, certified halal pork loin rib roast. Certified halal pork loin rib roast. Here's another circulatory. Look at this. Halal ground pork for $165 a pound. Brothers, the point of this is not to say that Muslims are going to fall into deception and eat pork because it says halal. No Muslim will eat pork as halal. My point is, if we think the label is so strong and well regulated, then how did this happen? If we think the label is so strong and well regulated, how does this happen in the 21st century here in America? This is our question. We have to understand, it's not like that. Our halal labels are not regulated. Our halal labels do not have anyone checking on them. This is the situation. It's based completely on trust. Based completely on trust. And unfortunately, deception is a regular business practice. That's unfortunately the truth here. Brother, because my Muslim brother, he prays Fajr with me in the masjid in the first saf every day. He has a long beard. He looks like a good Muslim. His beard doesn't make the chicken halal. His kurta and jubba doesn't make the beef halal. It's the conditions of halal that make it halal. It's the biha that makes it halal. He is not slaughtering it himself. He is getting it from a distributor, who's getting it from a supplier, who's getting it from a slaughterhouse. You should know that this meat changes at least 3 hands before it comes to your plate. If any one of them are not pious Muslims like you think they are, along the way, then haram can come into your stomach very easily. Haram can come straight into your stomach very easily. There's 3 people. Now that answers the question. A Muslim brother said it's halal. Shouldn't I believe him? Brother, the Muslim brother, he didn't slaughter in his backyard. In America, we don't have a chicken that we slaughter, like in our country, in other countries, we say, brother, get me 10 chicken. He goes in the backyard, Bismillah, Allah Akbar, gives it to you. It doesn't work like that here. Here you have USDA involved, you have the state government involved that regulates these issues. They get it from a distributor who gets it from a slaughterhouse. And we have to see what's going on there. What's going on there? This is what's going on, brothers. This is a distribution company that we took a picture of right here in Maspeth. It says, specialized in beef, pork, poultry, and groceries, halal meat available. Pork, poultry, and groceries, halal meat available. Think what good Muslims these people are. Here, brother, here's another one. Kingsland is a big one. This one, it has a halal sign on its truck as big as its own logo. This company, go on its website, it has chicken, beef, lamb, pork, everything. These are the people that we're talking about that are distributing to our halal stores and restaurants. Here, this is a store in Jackson Heights. One of our Mufti Saabs here, he took a picture of this. Here, look, this is the company delivering. None of these boxes, this box is McAfee. This box is Pilgrim, Amic Farms. We called all of these. We saw what machine slaughter looks like. Does machine slaughter meet the conditions of halal? Brother, does it say Bismillah? Does it have a vocal cord to say Bismillah? Does it cut the passageways properly? Or is it a believing Muslim or Ahlul Kitab? The machine is a Muslim or Ahlul Kitab, brothers? Neither. It doesn't meet any, the machine slaughter doesn't meet any of the conditions. This is what they are distributing to us. Here you go. This is a certificate. Not too long ago, someone called me from Brooklyn, said, I want to get certified. He said, brother, where you get your meat from? He said, a certified distributor halal. I said, okay, no problem. So show me what you get. So he gave me a certificate of his distributor. 100% hand slaughtered, guaranteed halal. Sounds familiar? 100% hand slaughtered, guaranteed halal. This company who's certifying it to be. This is what they're selling. Pilgrim. Pilgrims, we emailed them. We have the email. You can show it to anyone who wants. We emailed all of these companies. They all said our chicken are all machine slaughtered. We don't do Muslim hand slaughter here. This is what they answered in email directly. Was the consumer affairs issue. And you have to give it to them. In America, any company, you have a water bottle, you have an 800 number at the back. You call that number, they happily answer. When you go to our Muslim stores and you ask them, brother, it's halal, he gets angry at you. Yeah, I don't look like a Muslim? So brother, you being a Muslim doesn't make the chicken or the beef or the lamb halal. It's the rules of the dhabiha that makes it halal. But unfortunately, and he's not slaughtering himself. It's not about Muslim brother, you believe a Muslim brother. He's not slaughtering himself, nor did he see the slaughter himself. We're telling you what we saw. This is what our stores are selling to us. Here's another a plant that has an entire certificate. It says here, is in fine print, in kind of small print here, it says every chicken is manually slaughtered by a Muslim. We went here and we inspected this facility in Pennsylvania, about 3.5 hours away from here, from Queens at least, from our office. They didn't have a single Muslim on staff. They didn't have a single Muslim on staff. This is what we're eating, my dear brothers and elders. This is what we're eating. The fact is, there is a lot of deception in the market. We are being sold, if any Muslim tells us that this is machine slaughtered, brothers, there's enough Muslims out there that understand the machine cannot be halal. Machine slaughter cannot be halal. And there's enough people out there, if they saw the sign, we have machine slaughter here, they're not going to buy at that store. This is the deception. We're being told this is hand slaughter, dhabiha halal. And we asked him, what is machine slaughter? How do you make it halal? He said that we have one imam who comes and he blesses the whole truck, Bismillah. Blesses the whole truck. And one Yehudi said this, one Jewish brother said this to us, is we should cry at this. He said that the way you guys treat halal, if we put an imam on a plane and he says Bismillah all over America, then all of America is going to be halal forever. Is that what it means? Adi ibn Hatim radiyallahu ta'ala anhu came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said that I sent my hunting dog out and I said Bismillah and he went and hunted. When he came back with 2 dogs. I don't know which one killed the animal, my dog or that dog. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, do not eat it. You don't know if your dog with Bismillah, the one that you said Bismillah on, that's the one that killed it, or the other one that didn't have Bismillah on it. That's what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us to do. It's a very clear matter. It's not about any ambiguity here. My dear brothers and elders, we can move forward just to conclude. The consumer does not have the legal authority to go into the store and say, let me see what's in there. There's trespassing laws in this country. Even if you went, what would you see? You'd see nice symbols that say halal on them, in the colorful boxes. Brothers, ask us. We've done our research. Tell you what is going on there, what that company is really doing. We can tell you. You can find out yourself too. It's free information. The ulama throughout the world where Muslims are in minorities, in South Africa and England and Canada namely, they have started, Australia, New Zealand, we've been there ourselves. They started this kind of monitoring organization there in those countries because Muslims are minorities there. Anywhere in America, right here in Long Island, we went in somewhere in middle of Long Island, middle of nowhere, we saw a Hershey store. Went in for some ice cream. It has a sign in there that says kosher. But under the kosher, it has a sign there that says, this rabbinical order is monitoring this facility. This rabbinical order. That does not exist in halal. This is what we're demanding. This is the service the Sharia board does. Halal monitoring services is a free service that goes and checks meat at every level, from the slaughterhouse to the distributing facility to the stores and restaurants. And this is what our work looks like. These are our inspectors who are out on inspection interviewing the slaughtermen. This is the attire that we have to wear by USDA protocol. This is the scalding machine that we're inspecting. This is the carcasses that we're inspecting. This is to check if it was slaughtered properly, the neck, the cut we're inspecting. That's the goat we're inspecting, the chicken we're inspecting here. These are carcasses in their fridges. So there's nothing mixing in there. This is what we rebranded and called ourselves now HMS now. This is SBNY, it says here. This is our products coming with our logos on it now that we inspect this facility. In the last just 1 year, we've traveled more than 14,000 miles within USA to monitor halal. We've, under our monitoring, 42 million pounds of chicken have been produced. 50 million pounds of beef have been produced. 5 million pounds of goat and lamb have been produced. This is a solution for the Muslims in America. What we want every halal sign in America to have a monitoring disclosure with it. Who is monitoring this establishment? We can't just trust you because you're not the one slaughtering it. And we want clear labeling. Is it machine slaughter? Is it hand slaughter? So we can make an informed decision. This is what we have a right as a consumer, and the consumer is the king of the market. This is our certified listing you can find on our website, sbny.org. We certify chain certification. We certify the slaughterhouse, then the distributor, then the store or restaurant. The store and restaurant cannot get certified until the distributor is certified. The distributor cannot get certified until the slaughterhouse is certified. And we don't just certify, we monitor. We only certify what we check. We monitor on random inspection basis. We take a legal agreement with the business that we can come in anytime we want. We can check your fridge, we can ask your employees, we can check all of your merchandise. This is a solution for us, halal monitoring services. If we demand, the final thing I want to say, brothers, the customer is the king of the market. If we demand monitored halal, we're going to get monitored halal. If we demand, we want proper halal, we're going to get proper halal. One point, look, I don't have the time now, I'm already over time now. It's not impossible to do this in the market. We have slaughterhouses that produce 45,000 chicken a day by hand. Other facilities that we monitor or our partners monitor that are 145,000 chicken in one shift. That's 245 chicken per minute by 8 slaughtermen by hand. What does that cost? That costs payroll, about $2,000 more than if you had a machine. That $2,000 is being distributed over 145,000 pounds. 145,000 chicken, about 300,000 pounds of meat. 300,000 pounds, $2,000 cost if you do hand slaughter. It comes out to roughly about 7 cents more. However, we pay between halal and non-halal, between machine slaughter and hand slaughter, we pay. Halal, we pay 2 times, 3 times, $1 more per pound to get halal. Yet we're being sold the same machine slaughter. If Pilgrim sells as haram, they put a sticker on it, becomes halal. But they sell it to us for $1 more. If they did hand slaughter, it would only cost them 7 cents more. They're making 93 cents off of us for nothing. And we're being deceived into this. This is the reality of the market. This is the research that we've done. Brothers, who's here, who's ready to demand only monitored halal? Who's ready to demand monitored halal in this country, inshallah? We have to solve this problem in this generation before the time goes on. My dear brothers and elders, if we let this keep going, it's going to get to no halal and haram left anymore. Halal is just another flavor. Allah Ta'ala protect us from all of those issues. Allah Ta'ala allow us to eat proper halal. And all this information is available on one page for you. On one page for you. We condensed it, put it on one page for you to take home. And one side we put FAQ. I told you 60 times we've done this program. We know what we're talking about. We've gotten these questions before. Read the FAQ before you ask us the question. Inshallah, take this. We also have our certified listing of where you can find. And brothers, we say it's a free service. If your store or restaurant says that they're doing halal and they have nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose. Get certified by HMS. It's free. And take our pamphlet, find out who we are. We thank you and the management of HIC for giving us this opportunity to present this valuable information. And we ask Allah Ta'ala to solve this problem in America today and now, inshallah. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Jazakumullah.
Allah